November 1st, 1992.
If making money in movies is success in movies, then Robert Zemeckis is currently the most successful director in the world.
A great idea for a movie is still the rarest commodity. What I like to do in films is make them dense and complicated. If someone has got a love and an ability to see sort of film subtlety, then there's something in them that something for them that they can enjoy as well.
A film that also makes a filmmaker yell at the top of his lungs.
And then Bob yells down the phone real loud. He says, God, I was born to make this movie.
There's this thing we call the magic of the movies.
However, Zemeckis possessed an unhealthy preoccupation with innovation outside his role as a storyteller. For Zemeckis, visual effects were the next big thing. And he wasn't wrong. He did it absolutely right.
How did you go right when so many others have gone wrong?
I've tried to make the best movies I know how to make, and I really don't believe that I have any sort of magic formula or...
I've always just wanted to entertain. Then I knew we would be okay.
And of course, you have a lot of special effects in this.
A lot of new and really never seen before special effects.
A lot of the special effects are basically to create things in nature, but they're not strange or otherworldly. It's as big as the universe to explode on the screen.
Nobody has ever succeeded in integrating animation and live action like this before.
Well, I think we're going someplace that we can't even imagine. I got really interested in films mainly from enjoying special effects, trying to figure out how they did certain things.
This is what I'm attracted to in this, and it's what I have to present on the screen.
What I wanted to have everyone experience was the technique becoming invisible.
Okay, well, that'll be fun.
Zemeckis' dream was for the technique to disappear. The movie magic wasn't in the wires or rigs for him. It was in the seamless fusion of worlds that allowed audiences to lose themselves completely.
I never thought of it as a movie that could be done until how it was possible to actually make it into a film.
But he pulled it off. He made the impossible possible.
You can't just be a filmmaker. Is it possible, do you think, that we could do this?
Even the most powerful filmmaker is desperately afraid of having a financial failure.
Pretty scary.
But the thought of losing everything didn't faze Zemeckis at all. And we saw it unfold as success, driven by pure determination.
Where do you see cinema going in like 20 years?
At every turn, it just became more spectacular. You don't have to worry about physically moving a 50-pound camera through space and worrying about shadows and rigging and things like that. So
we basically shot the live-action movie so that when the raw film came back, it sort of looked like an Invisible Man movie.
Obviously, I loved the World War II movies, horror movies, monster movies. I loved anything with special effects in it.
And the Oscar goes to Alex, your father just won the Academy Award. Robert Zemeckis.
Bob Zemeckis, ladies and gentlemen.
I want to thank the Visual Effects Society for this fantastic honor, and I want to acknowledge, all of the magicians who've helped sprinkle the magic in my movies.
Zemeckis has been a major force for technological change in American movie making, moving from complex optical effects to a full embrace of digital technology. Is there a downside to technology in movie making?
15 years have gone by since the first performance capture movie ever done, which was Polar Express. Being a person who made a movie that takes place in the future, the one thing I realized about predicting the future is that you always underestimate it. Well, we have certain limitations and certain things that we have to keep, within the realm of what we're doing. And so, we spent a lot of time, and it was very important for us to. My feeling is I want to use all the tools at my disposal. I embrace all technology because that's the art form, the way it's been since the beginning.
And he was so good it became almost unbelievable. Blockbuster after blockbuster, making some wonder if anyone could rise that high, it would be him.
Robert Zemeckis is obviously such a gifted director. I mean, looking at his filmography, some incredible movies. In your mind, what is his greatest talent?
visually, so it all fit.
So do you consider yourself a technologist?
I don't know how to do any of it myself.
They always call me like some kind of special effects whiz kid and, whatever.
The only limitation is in the imagination of the filmmaker.
Well, today is Disney Plus Day, and one of the most anticipated debuts is Pinocchio.
I gotta give a big congratulations to Disney. You have united the internet. This is a Disney bomb.
This became a warning among people in the CGI world.
At the very end of the movie, the visual effects were absolutely atrocious. They were worse than temp effects. There was no attempt to blend or shade Pinocchio into the surroundings.
Polar Express, the 2004 animated film that terrified children because that technology was not ready at that time.
This is something that might be too hard for in the first viewing for the audience to grasp.
If you could go back and redo that film or any of your films, is there anything you would change?
Interesting, because there's this thing we call the magic of the movies. I think that a director's job is to just do one thing. I always look for one thing, and actually most people think I look for things like to showcase visual effects, which I don't. That's always secondary, but what I always look for is the art form to get back to the storytelling and the characters, which is what it was always there to support in the first place. Because you could have the most beautiful animation, but if it looks like the live action actor is looking through the character and not really looking at the character, then the illusion won't work. Problem with filmmakers, and maybe all artists, I always feel like I haven't done my best work yet. One thing I notice about my work is I edit less and less and less. Because the audience is going to be, conditioned to think that any image is possible, that they won't be impressed by visual effects anymore, and they will go to the cinema because they're interested in the human story. It won't be interesting anymore. It's kind of like what happened with sound. We don't write about sound anymore, although sound is completely digital. The form of cinema is changing as it changes for every generation. A world where there is really no competition. If every movie was great, people would be living in movie theaters.
After 3 animation movies, what got you into doing a real image one?
Well, I like the screenplay so much. Script. You have to be very respectful of the script, because when a script is written, nothing can be written by accident. So everything that is put in a script is put in there by design. Could be subconscious design, but it is in there by design. One of the things, the responsibilities, if you will, of a filmmaker is to tell stories that are unique to the cinema. And I think that good and evil are parts, they're the engine that pushes forth compelling stories.
I think that when a movie is so popular that its title becomes more than just its title, I guess it's really captured the imagination of pretty much the world.
I won the very first Student Film Academy Award from the Academy.
We're just here having a good time and hope that it is, but we're just here to have fun.
Robert Zemeckis changed the way movies are made for good. His addiction to VFX broke rules, changed the way movies were made, and started a new era. But through it all, one thing never changed.
I've always just wanted to entertain.
He always told stories, mixing reality and showmanship in a way that only he could have.
At its heart, offers a human, life-affirming, hopeful story. Thank you very much.